touch, and Akindele has an open goal. We are in the vicinity of the Magic Kingdom, and maybe something special is starting to happen for Oscar Pereira and company.
And Santos has scored. New England have had all the second half play, but Philadelphia the more clinical.
We'll start you out with game 2 of the knockout rounds. Philly versus New England, picking it up in the 35th minute, and Buchanan with a shot here for New England, but Andre Blake has been so very good for Philadelphia, Doyle.
Yeah, he has. The man has been big the entire tournament. He kept it up in this one with one of his better saves on the night.
All right, and head into the 40th minute. Sergio Santos will have a dig here, just misses. And there wasn't a ton of action in that first half, guys.
There was not. And, I mean, Jim Curtin said it. Look, this was almost getting them on the board early, but he said, like, he called it a professional performance. And when the coach is coming out in the press conference afterwards and saying it was a professional performance and we defended well, these are the highlights that you're going to get.
Okay, well, things got exciting in the 63rd minute here because there's a little turnover in the midfield here from New England. And then check this out. Just a lovely little through ball. And this finish from Sergio Santos was delightful, as was his goal celebration. I hope we get to see that, too.
Yeah, it's a good little ball in behind. I just like the way he takes this off the bounce, right? He understands the pressure coming out and just lifts it right off the bounce over the top to the back post. So, yeah, Philly, another tight win, but you got to give it up to them. They've been in 3 of these matches now, or 4 of them that have been tight, but in each of their 3 wins, they've been able to get by on 1 goal.
They are going through to the quarterfinals. They will face the winner of Sporting Kansas City or Vancouver, and Orlando. Man, they are also headed to the quarterfinals, but it's going to be a tough matchup for them. LAFC or Seattle, either one. This has been such a fun, crazy, wacky tournament to watch, guys. Welcome on in. This is our MLS is Back postgame show presented by Audi. Matt Doyle is joining us right now. You made it, buddy. We were a little worried.
We made it. No more technical difficulties.
No more technical difficulties. Fun night of soccer. Let's talk a little bit about the game that we just watched, that Philadelphia-New England match. Definitely, I guess we could call it a cagey performance from both sides, but Philadelphia end up just needing the 1 goal. Is this, Doyle, kind of how you anticipated this game going for both teams?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of data over the past quarter century to know how Bruce Arena manages in knockout round games, and it's always tight and it's always scrappy, and that's what the Revs did on this evening, and full credit to them. They did a good job of limiting Philly's chances, and it was the right way to approach this given that they were out without Carlos Hill. On Philly's side, I thought Jim Curtin's press conference was very good because he actually started talking about the shape of the team and how when they were in that 4-4-2 diamond, they made it really hard for New England to play through them, but they also made it really hard on themselves to sort of get the ball and get into a rhythm. And when you have 2 teams playing like that, yeah, it's going to come down to a turnover. It's going to come down to one player switching off or one player making a special play. And, with Sergio Santos' night, and this is going to have to be, if the 4-4-2 diamond is going to work, this is going to have to be Sergio Santos' year. He's going to have to be the one who makes those runs through the lines and punishes defenses when they're napping or when they're just a little bit too high. And this was a taste of what they want from him.
And Doyle, when you look at both matches tonight, both members of Group A advance. And both of them did it in a similar fashion. And if you look at all the matches from Group A, they were 1-goal wins. This is now Philadelphia Union's 3rd 1-goal win of the tournament. And what I'd say is different about this Philly team is in the past I've felt that they have kind of ended up in some shootouts, and you feel like they may need to win 3-2 to get through and win. And I'm sort of waiting for this attack to sort of show the life that we know it can have. We see how, even in a couple of the goals they've scored, even this tournament, just the way they can go so swiftly from end to end. But it hasn't really come that way. And instead, they've had to kind of ride a little bit of their depth. So if it's not Shabilko, then Sergio Santos steps up. If Brendan Aaronson's not having the best match, then it's Montero who has the moment, who finds the pass through. And it really has come down also to the back line and the defense, and led by Andre Blake, who has been fantastic this tournament. I believe most saves in it, but the spectacular ones. I always say the best goalkeepers make the saves they're supposed to, and then maybe pull one out that they really shouldn't. But Blake has been able to really snatch a couple that he really shouldn't be picking out, but he makes it look almost just kind of a little bit standard. You're almost expecting him to make it. And I think he's a goalkeeper that rides off confidence a little bit more than maybe even some others, where when things have not been confident, we saw maybe in the Red Bull series last year, it started to kind of fall apart. And then in this tournament, you're seeing a confident Andre Blake that is just commanding his box, even on crosses off the line where he's looked unsure in the past. And then you always know he has the shot-stopping ability. But make no mistake, if you want to go back far in any tournament setting, you're going to need good goalkeeper play. The back line has been organized. They've been able to make good clearances, but it's a whole nother level when you look behind you and you have the trust of a confident Andre Blake.
I want to bring up something that I saw on Twitter that Doyle tweeted during this game. And Caitlin, you picked Philadelphia to win the whole tournament, so I know that you've been pretty high on them. You spoke about their depth. And we're having this conversation about Andre Blake. And Doyle, you tweeted that, actually, in your opinion, Philly hasn't been that good in this tournament, but they have Andre Blake, who has, you heard Jim Curtin speak about him in the post-game press conference, that he's the best goalkeeper in the league. Do you feel that they are in this position now, advancing to the quarterfinals, despite of how they played, and just because of Andre Blake? What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, Caitlin's right that the defense has been better and that they seem to have leveled up back there. And this is a team that played a lot of shootouts last year, and they seem to know a little bit better how to keep it tight. And I think it's a level of maturity to win by one goal consistently when you're not playing well. I mean, that was those Dynamo teams that Caitlin was on that just kept making it to MLS Cup year after year after year. There's a level of maturity to that. But at some point, you do have to take the pressure off the defense, and you do have to take the pressure off the goalkeeper, and you have to start generating more chances. And for this team, they're playing that 4-4-2 diamond, and I understand why they want to do that. But they straight up play better when they're in that 4-2-3-1. When it's Jamiro Montero as the 10 instead of Brendan Aronson, they're a better team. Aronson's still better as kind of a left-wing playmaker type of thing when the game's in front of him and he doesn't have to come back into space. And then it also gets Ilsinho on the field, and we know he's a cheat code. So I think they're going to keep going with what they have. Mm-hmm. I question whether that's the best way to get to the finish line. But this is a team that has improved year after year after year under Jim Curtin. So who the hell am I to question his methods? Doyle,
the one thing that stood out to me, to your point, and the formation shift was the way Jim Curtin spoke in the press conference. He used we used the 4-4-2 diamond to wear the opponent down. Yeah. And then when they switch to this 4-2-3-1, that's when they can really sort of open things up. And it has been in that last 15 to 20 minutes where we saw at the water break, he pulled the group in and said, guys, this team is tired. One good counterattack, it's 2-0, and we put this to bed. That's where they haven't taken that next step, where they've been able to wear things down. But that last 15, 20 minutes where we're so used to seeing Philly using that depth and making that difference, where we haven't seen them be able to really put teams away the way we're used to seeing.
All right, let's...
Go ahead,
Oh,
Susan.
go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No. Caitlin said it all. I don't need to get the last word. All you.
It's good. It's great banter.
That's a first.
Good to have you in this conversation. No, I want to flip the conversation to talk a little bit about New England. Something interesting happened after the game. I was just told by our lovely producer Chris that Bruce Arena is not going to be doing a post-game press conference, and he was not pleased after this match. Actually was handed a red card for having some words with the referee. So clearly the frustration from Bruce extremely palpable here. But for New England, what went wrong? I mean, I know that they were missing a huge piece in Carlos Gil, but was it more than just missing him? Doyle, what do you think?
I mean, they struggled like everybody else has to string passes together. This is still just 4 or 5 games into the season for these teams, so it's not the beautiful free-flowing soccer that we've seen from the Revs mm-hmm. at times under Bruce Arena. So I think it's the combination of that and a lot of games and kind of a compressed time span, and no Carlos Gil. Yeah, I mean, no Carlos Gil was huge because Tajon Buchanan, who I'm very high on, got his chance to go out there and stake a claim for a starting spot, and he really did not do it. And that's tough to put a young player in that position, but he didn't live up to it. And then on the other wing, Christian Penilla had one of his worst performances. And when your best player is out, and Gil is their best player, you need the other veterans to step up. You need a rookie to take his opportunity, and none of them really did that. So it was a combination of factors. But again, fair play to the Revs. You got to give them credit because I think we all agree this Union team is pretty good, and the Revs were right there in this one, right until the very end. They forced Andre Blake into some tough saves, and they forced a very good performance out of Jack Elliott and Mark McKenzie, and I think both Union fullbacks were awesome in this one. So forcing that performance out of it, I think, speaks well to what the Revs have, but mm-hmm. Without Gil, I don't think they have enough to go up against the best in the league.
Yeah, and it's not just about Gil and his sort of individual traits. He makes the team so much better, right? Like the partnership that he has formed with Gustavo Bo, the understanding, the ability to provide service to Penilla, to put him in good spots. He really is the sort of guy that pulls the strings in that midfield and can find the right runners at the right time and behind. So, yeah, I don't think it can be understated how much they missed him tonight. Still had some opportunities, but you were sort of just hoping for Gustavo Bo to maybe rescue them at some point. But he is really sort of the mind of the team, and that seemed missing tonight.
All right, well, let's look ahead to Philly's next opponent, which will be either Vancouver or Sporting Kansas City. Doyle, how do you think they match up against either of these teams?
Well, I mean, they would be strong favorites if Vancouver got through.
Okay.
None of us are choosing Vancouver to get through, right? It's not that late at night. We haven't lost our mind.
I don't know. I might have,
man,
honestly.
MLS is back.
It's entirely possible. Never say never.
Right? If they end up facing the Caps, then the Union are strong favorites, and they'll just have to watch out for the counter. If they end up facing Sporting Kansas City, then this is a game that we all circle on the calendars and we all tune in for and with rapt attention, because Sporting plays just beautiful free-flowing soccer, and they press, and they're, in a lot of ways, they're the team that Philadelphia wants to be. And I think that can maybe have a way of bringing the best out of this Union team. Mm-hmm. And the Union would be underdogs in that game. Even though Sporting have struggled defensively, the Union would absolutely be underdogs in that game.
Yeah, and when you look at Philly, and when you look at Philly and the teams that I think they've struggled with in the past, it has been with teams with devastating number 9s that can really damage you, whether you look at David Villa in the past or BWP. And Pulido definitely fit into that category. So we've seen the development, the maturation of this Philly team overall, and specifically as it relates to the back line and those young center backs. So that sort of matchup, to see how that bears fruit against a striker like Pulido, would be the matchup I would be watching for heading into that match. But Sporting's got to get past Vancouver first, and we've
Yeah,
learned
now
in
it's gonna be-
MLS
it's
is back.
100%. It's absolutely going to be Vancouver. I just
Let's
jinxed
get
us.
weird. Let's get weird. Come on. I'm here for it. I'm so here for it. Oh, this is so great. Guys, let's get to the first game of the evening, the very first game of the knockout rounds, which was Orlando
Does
taking
my
on
beard look like
Montreal.
Thierry Henry's?
I
Do
mean,
look like
it's
Thierry
getting
Henry?
there. It's
This would be
getting
the first time
Doyle.
you would be compared to the King.
Not
like it,
far
though.
off. So this is an opportunity for Orlando early on, and Chris Mueller. Oh, we've seen him make these really nice finishes, but not so much there. But
Yeah, couldn't quite
Orlando
get
had a
toe
lot
on
of
that
chances.
one. Yeah, and this was, ended up being a close game as well, but it was very different from the Revs Union game in that there was really only one team that was ever going to score in this one, and this should have been the first one. That was
Yeah.
probably onside. It was a beautiful little build-up. Pereira getting on the ball, and Tesho, I think he's on right there. But
This
it's
is a goal
amazing
for
what
me.
Oscar Pereira has done in 5 games. He's got them playing like this.
Yeah, a little bit of combination play. The mobility seemed to cause Montreal problems. Just at times even a little bit slow to react, and a little bit unlucky there as well. This is a nice little flick, though. A really nice little flick from Nani. That combination play, finding their way through, and then Tesho, hey, if they're going to lay it on a platter for you, we've seen him do this time and time again. Hey, it's not just a coincidence that Tesho finds himself in the right place. You get those tap-ins because you are alert in the box and ready to capitalize.
Absolutely. This was
And this was almost
a
it. That was the
yeah.
best look of the night right there for Romel Kyoto, who was very good in this game and very good in this tournament. But Orlando's a team who they know what they're about, and Montreal at this point is not. And I think
Still searching for that identity. All right, well, let's hear from the goal scorer, Tesho, after the game. This is what he had to say about playing for Oscar Pereira.
People have asked me about this a lot, and I keep saying the same thing, is intensity. Like, Oscar brings just a different level of intensity than most coaches. The level of the practices is higher. The standards that are expected of us in the game is higher. And even off the field, these guys are watching video 24/7. They have everything prepared. They have a plan B prepared. So I think just that intense mindset is infectious, and it's helping us get results.
Listening to what Tesho had to say about Oscar Pereira kind of goes along exactly the lines of what Doyle was saying, that, under the tutelage of Oscar Pereira, Orlando suddenly has an identity. Every guy knows their role on this team. Kaylin, for you, in addition to that, what has Oscar Pereira done right to get this Orlando side believing in themselves and advancing to the quarterfinals?
Well, look, not all the pieces have changed, especially when you look up front, right? This is an Orlando team that has always been able to score goals and can even score them in bunches. But they have been much more solid defensively. They've been better with the ball. And I would say the way that they've created chances feels more consistent. I mean, they've been able to find the ball wide, and you always know that Nani and Mueller are going to cause problems, going to be danger. But Doyle, I know you're high on Pereira. Sorry, he's made a big difference for them as well.
And hey,
Yeah, no,
Kaylin, that was a great tee-up. I think Doyle has a little something to say about this. Take it away, Matt
No,
Doyle.
he has been fantastic, and he's not putting up big numbers, but he is, like, as we talked about with Carlos Hill, the guy who kind of knits everything together. He's done that really quickly for this Orlando City team, and it's been great to watch. So let's roll the clips.
Let's do it.
Pereira is the orchestrator, as his movement both on and off the ball not only dictates Orlando's attack, it also shifts around the opposing defense. He understands here that when he drops that deep and the demon Victor Wanyama follows him, that opens up the space to create dynamic superiority, a situation where you get multiple runners between the lines. When you're in that sort of situation, the correct decision is to drive at goal and force the defense to make a play. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. We also saw Pereira earlier in the tournament take advantage of a similar type of scenario when he scored a goal versus the Union. As the defense pushed up and pursued the ball, he played a square pass to draw them out, then slipped behind them for a near-post header, one of several runners in the box, creating dynamic superiority for the Lions. So there's a lot going right for Orlando City, finally, in 2020. At the heart of it all is their little number 10, the maestro who conducts the entire orchestra.
It is always a good day when Matt Doyle gets to tee himself up for his very own segment. I'm here for it all day. Guys, here is the MLS's back updated bracket. And Orlando, kind of on this, we talked about them in the pregame show as one of our Cinderella teams. Well, they are up against it. They are going to have to face the winners of that Sounders LAFC match. Do they have a shot? Kaylin, we'll start with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've got a shot. They've got a ton of momentum right now. But I think they're going to be huge underdogs. And if you look at LAFC and the amount of goals they've been able to put up so far in this tournament, and then I know the Sounders haven't necessarily looked their best, but if they do, I think they have a legitimate chance to go and beat LAFC in this next match. And if they do advance from there, you'd have to put them as favorites by some margin against this Orlando team as well. So I think they've surely got a chance. They got a lot of momentum, but it's going to be a tall task going against either of these sides.
Yeah, Doyle, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, the LAFC and Seattle are the Supporter Shield and MLS Cup champions, respectively. And even though both have struggled defensively, there are still really big questions about the Sounders center backs and about the right side of that LAFC defense. They're not here by accident. Not to say that Orlando City is, but just in terms of sheer firepower, those are two of the three best teams in the league. But Oscar Pereira has gotten a lot out of teams in the past, and he probably still has a little bit of a vendetta against the Sounders because they kept knocking him out when he was head coach at Dallas. So, and it's 2020. Strange things can happen in 2020 in the MLS.
That is such a good point. I feel like we haven't even really talked about that. But yeah, we're living in like bizarro world. It's like in the upside down. So literally anything can happen. Buckle up, people. All right. Well, during the MLS's back tournament, with every goal scored, Audi will contribute $1,000. So far, there have been 101 tournament goals, which equals $101,000. During the MLS's back tournament championship match, every goal scored is worth $5,000. In addition, Audi will contribute $10,000 to the MLS's back tournament Golden Boot Winners Academy Club. And speaking of Golden Boot presented by Audi, let's check out the standings. And right now, we've got both Ayo Akinola, the 20-year-old out of Toronto, and Diego Rossi, both tied at the top with 5 goals. But Chris Mueller could have had a couple more tonight. Guys, do you think who do you have a hunch is going to be at the top of this list come the end of the tournament?
Ooh,
Either one of
That's
you.
kind of like making
Kaylin,
predictions
you're the goal
over
scorer.
who's. Well, that's like making a prediction over which team is going to win. I think Columbus has looked like the best team in the tournament so far, and I like their pathway going ahead. So I'd say Giassi Zardes might have something to say about that. But then when you look at the way Diego Rossi has been scoring goals, it'd be hard not to pick him. Ayo, I think it has been great, but I think maybe Josie's going to come back and try and take a couple of those tallies off his totals. So I would put Diego Rossi and Giassi as my 2 picks from that bunch.
Doyle, who you feeling?
I think those are 2 pretty good picks. I actually think that Bradley Wright Phillips is
Bradley Wright Phillips! Yes! I was hoping you were
Yeah.
going to say that.
I think
Thank you.
I mean, throwing BWP and he appears to be healthy again, throwing him into this attack even without Carlos Vela, it's just been the easiest fit for him, and he keeps finding great chances.
Isn't it wild that I'm saying Josie might take some goals off Ayo, but I didn't even really consider Diego and Brad taking goals off each other. There's just that many goals to go around for LAFC.
Yeah, it
the
doesn't
way
even
that
matter.
attack has
You
been
know,
going.
honestly though, Kalen, there might be that many goals to go around for Toronto as well, because Josie played 5 minutes at the end of that game, and the first thing he did was set up Io for on a through ball that was almost a penalty. So I think those two are going to have a little synergy.
Yeah. So good. All right.
Well, pens.
Guys, look at this. Speaking of Toronto, here it is. Tomorrow night, we've got Toronto taking on NYCFC. That game at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on FS1, and that will be followed up. It's going to be another late night, y'all, because we have Sporting Kansas City taking on Vancouver. That game doesn't start until 11 p.m. Eastern. Going to really need to caffeinate yourselves for this one, but they're going to be some great games, so make sure you check those out. We are just getting warmed up, people. Tomorrow, guys, the MLS's Back post-game show presented by Audi will return. Jill Sakovitz is going to be hosting this one. Kalen and Doyle will be back, and Justin Glad from RSL will be making an appearance, so you're going to want to check that out. Guys, thank you so much for hanging in with us, for staying up late. We really appreciate it. We hope you enjoyed the games. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you very, very soon. Have a great rest of your night, guys.